A Johannesburg Metro police officer who was shot while on duty has been denied emergency treatment at Netcare Milpark Hospital. This is because the city owes the private hospital 35 million rand. The officer was transferred to Charlotte Maxeke Hospital and received medical treatment there. Now joining us is Solomon Maila, DA Shadow MMC for Public Safety. Councillor Maila, appreciate your time. What for you is most concerning about this headline?
Well, thanks very much for inviting us. We are indeed shocked that the government of local unity in the city of Johannesburg has not been able to pay its service providers and other contractors, including the Milpark Private Hospital, which is quite important in ensuring that the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department's officers who get injured in the line of duty do receive the high quality care that they deserve, given the centrality or the importance of the role they play in ensuring that the 6 million residents of the city of Johannesburg get the protection they deserve. But of course, as the Democratic Alliance, the official opposition in the city of Johannesburg, we are not necessarily surprised because we have seen a lot of incidents that point to gross incompetence on the part of the executive running the city of Johannesburg.
How concerned are you, though, that the very individuals whose responsibility it is to protect the 6 million residents of Johannesburg that you speak of themselves are not protected? Because if one gets shot and is unable to be treated at the facilities that should allow them to recuperate and get back onto the streets doing what it is that they're meant to do, which is serve and protect the people of Johannesburg, then able to do so.
We are hugely concerned. Because we understand that it is universally accepted that public safety is the number one duty and the highest obligation of any government anywhere in the world. We are concerned that this ANC-led government of local unity is not able to guarantee at least providing access to high-quality medical care to the 4,000 members of the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department who are prepared to lay down their lives on a daily basis in protection and defense of the 6 million residents of the city. It's shameful, to say the least, that you have a government that does not even care about the first line of defense for the 6 million residents of the city of Johannesburg.
Now, Councillor Maila, as a shadow MMC of public safety, I'm sure that there's much homework that you do behind the scenes, right? And that homework would speak to establishing what sort of monies are owed to various organisations, such as, in this instance, Netcare Milpark Hospital. It's owed 35 million, right? Now, at any point, were you aware of this amount of 35 million prior to this incident, firstly? And secondly, over how long will this amount have accumulated? Because one would imagine that 35 million rand is not a cost that suddenly creeps up on you and, oh, we owe 35 million from last week. It must be over several months, if not years.
Yeah. Well, the reality is that the city does not only owe the Milpark Hospital or private hospitals in general. There are a multiplicity of service providers and contractors that have been owed large sums of money by the city over a long period of time. I mean, you would recall that in December, just a couple of months ago, about 5 months ago in December, we had the entire fleet, vehicle fleet of the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department, immobilized by a company called AfriRent, from whom the city is actually leasing almost all of the vehicles that the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department is using. And the reason those vehicles were immobilized is because of non-payment by the city. It was only after the DA had intervened in that specific matter that arrangements were then made for AfriRent to actually be paid. We find that inexcusable, to say the least. But I mean, it points to the gross incompetence of the persons who are currently in charge of the city of Johannesburg. So there are many other contractors, for instance, who have left, sites of operation due to non-payment, and I mean, it's very surprising, because we don't have a serious financial issue in the city of Johannesburg, but of course we have a challenge of expenditure. Just in the second quarter of the financial year, for instance, the city was only able to spend 16% of its budget allocation of 3 billion rand for that specific quarter. So you can clearly see that you have people here who are incompetent, who do not know what needs to be done.
I suppose when you reflect on this, it might even suggest the importance of the DA having been a part of this government of local unity, in a bid, obviously, to do your bit in ensuring that such amounts are spent. But the other issue that I wanted to discuss with you, Councillor Maila, speaks to how this first responder was denied treatment by a private hospital when he was critically ill. So he was shot. Yeah. So he didn't go in there to get a bandage on his foot or because he had a headache. He was shot, right? Yeah. Should there be some policy, or at the very least some conversation on how first responders and similar are treated, even if there are vast amounts of money that are owed? In a previous conversation, it was suggested that restitution can be made. There can be conversations about, you owe us 35 million rand, we are levying X amount because we've had to attend to a first responder. But in the event that an individual passes away because he's turned away, then it becomes an issue.
No, indeed. Just to clarify the role that the DA is playing, I think I have mentioned that the DA is the official opposition in the city of Johannesburg. We are the second largest political party in the city and the province, and of course in the country. So our role is to ensure that those who are charged with executive functions, who are running the city, are held to account. The specific case that we are discussing involves a police officer who was part of an operation. In fact, they were following leads on somebody who was suspected of involvement in the crime of kidnapping, and this person walked into a hair salon. The police officers then followed him into the hair salon, and because he had locked the butler door, the police officer tried to open the butler door, and that's when he got shot twice in the stomach. But in all fairness to the Milpark Hospital, when the officer was taken to the Milpark Hospital, the doctors there attended to him. They stabilized him. And of course, they raised this issue about the 35 million rand that was owed to the facility. Yeah. Yes, and then they made arrangements to get him transferred to a different facility.
So he wasn't turned away before he was attended to?
No. He wasn't turned away. In all fairness to the Milpark Hospital, the doctors there attended to him. They stabilized him before transferring him to a different facility, and we want to thank them for that. And in fact, over and above stabilizing the officer, they ensured that the medics who came to fetch him as part of that transfer were fully briefed by the doctors who were the first to attend to him. So, yeah, the officer was stabilized. He is in a stable but critical condition in the facility where he is at the moment. But of course, the executive that is governing the city at the moment must take full responsibility for this sort of thing. I mean, how are you
going to ensure that accountability, though?
Well, we will. I will be writing to the member of the mayoral committee responsible for public safety, Councillor Dr. Newzroom, on this particular matter because I want answers from him as to how did they allow this sort of situation to occur in the first place. When they did not pay AfriRent for the fleet of JMPD vehicles that we are actually using, I wrote to him to say, but what is this? In fact, I firstly telephoned him to say to him, but how do we allow this sort of situation? It is unheard of. I've traveled to many parts of the world. It's the first time that I hear of a police department operating on leased motor vehicles. I mean, why would the city not buy its own vehicles, but lease police vehicles from a private contractor who can remotely immobilize vehicles even in the middle of a police operation? I mean, that's absurd, to say the least.
Well, I certainly hope that you got the answer that you were looking for, but that's where we're going to leave the conversation. Councillor Solomon Maila, DA, Shadow MMC of Public Safety, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on to the show and certainly clarifying those issues.
Thank you
now,
very much.
Acting City Manager Tsepo Makola will speak to the channel later this evening to give the city's side of the story about exactly what it is that happened.